In this video, I'm going to be going over 5 myths about the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, or basically 5 lies about the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. So let's get into this. So I have been reading PMBOK guides since I got PMP certified in 2007, PMBOK Guide 3rd edition, I believe. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of these different PMBOK guides that is out there. And this is the biggest, this PMBOK Guide 7th edition is the biggest change to all PMBOKs. And I've been through so many forums, whether it was something on Reddit or LinkedIn. I've seen so many videos on YouTube. And people are just giving out wrong information about this guide. You know, people are just saying things that are just not true. So in this video, I want to give you the top 5 things that I saw that is just not true. If you see it, just remember it's not going to be true. I'm going to go through the top 5. Let's start with number 5, and then we'll go to the number 1 thing that is just not true about this guide. So let's get started. Number 5, that is that it's difficult to read. Now, that is not true. Now, historically speaking, the PMBOK guide, if you look at PMBOK guide 3 to 6, they were difficult books to read. I've never met anyone that disagreed on that. I think all trainers and all folks that have read PMBOK guide will agree that the older version of PMBOK guide was written by aliens, and it is an incredibly difficult book to read. It was the best sleeping aid that was ever made. If you have problems sleeping and you need something to sleep without using drugs or alcohol, get an old edition of PMBOK, try reading it, just like that, you're out. This new book is very easy to read. It's not complex. It uses English language, nothing that was written by aliens, and it flows very well. But the principles that's out there in the domain is something that everyone can relate to, whether you're new to project management or you've been managing projects for 20 years. What's in the book is actually pretty easy to understand, and it'll make a lot of sense to you versus the other ones that just didn't. All right, number 4. This one, this one is just so big right now, is that it removes old PMBOK. It makes the old PMBOKs obsolete. That is not true. The PMBOK Guide 7th edition is a drastic change from the others. So here's a little history. Every time a new PMBOK would come out, the other one would be considered no good because the new ones would be a better version of the old one. For example, when 6 comes out, you don't use 5. When 5 came out, you don't use 4. Not with the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. So in the 7th edition, PMI was like, you know what? Because there's so many different methods to manage a project. There's agile methods, there's traditional methods, and then there's a billion form of agile methods. And so many people are doing things so many different ways and they're not incorrect. PMI didn't make a book to give you methods. And what the PMBOK Guide 7th edition did was basically say, you know what? This guide does not negate other versions of PMBOK. All the other versions of PMBOK are just valid. It's just that this one is more generic. So this is a very generic book. It doesn't cater to any version or methods of project management. And all the other PMBOKs are just as valid. Now, I know PMI retired the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. It didn't retire the contents. It retired the physical print of the book. PMI will not print the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. You can still download the PDF of it, and all the contents of it is basically on the PMI Standards website, so check that out. All right, number 3, it teaches the steps to manage a project. No, it does not. The PMBOK Guide 7th edition does not give you a method to manage any project. It doesn't say when you start a project, you should initiate it this way, plan it this way, execute it this way, do the sprint this way, do this meeting this way, have these things done. It doesn't do that. It gives you basic principles that as a project manager, we should value our stakeholders. We should engage the team. We should make a schedule. But it doesn't give you step by step by step. Okay, so if you're going to pick up PMBOK Guide 7th edition, you've never done project management before, and hope to get a blueprint. Okay, when I'm managing a project, this is what I should do, this is what I should do. That's the wrong book. You should consider, if it's a traditional project, get the PMBOK Guide 6th edition for that with the 49 processes. Get the Scrum Guide. Those are all good books. The Scrum Guide and all these types of books that tell you step by step how to manage an agile project. Or hey, you can just get my Udemy course on PMP or my live class. We'll go through those steps with you. So the PMBOK Guide 7th edition does not give you step-by-step of how to manage a project. All right, number 2. I've heard this 1,000 times from people. Okay, this is such BS. And people say no one uses it on any of the project. People say to me, oh, no one follows PMBOK. No one does what the book says. That is not true. Now, that may have been true for large parts of PMBOK 6th edition and previous, but not with this book. All right. What's in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition is actually something that we all follow. Every single project should engage the team. Every single project should encourage the customers to participate more. Every single project should be managing risk. Every single project should create a budget. Every single project should engage your stakeholders, and so on and so on. These are the principles and domains of the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. So when people say to me, oh, we don't follow PMBOK, I'm like, well, which version? Okay, oh, you mean version 6? Okay, maybe you're not doing those 49 processes. Version 7, you do everything in it. And you know what? You may not even know you're doing it. If you're a seasoned project manager, you've been doing this for a long time, even if you've been doing it for 1 year, and you pick up the PMBOK Guide 7th edition, you're going to say, oh, Andrew, yeah, I do all of this. Yeah, this is what all good project managers should do. And if you suck at being a project manager and you know you suck at it, or you know a project manager that sucks, give them the book, tell them to read this, because if you want to be a better project manager, you should be doing this. All right, number 1. This is the number 1 thing that I've heard so many times, and it's such BS, is that it's used to create the PMP exam. No, the PMP exam is not based on any real version of the PMBOK Guide. Okay, it's one of the books that they're going to use. They're going to use PMBOK Guide. The PMP exam, currently speaking, right now, it's September 2022. The PMP exam right now utilizes more of PMBOK Guide 6th edition than it does for 7th edition. Remember, what's on the PMP exam is a broad knowledge of project management. It's not bound to a particular book. In fact, PMI publishes this list of like 10 different books that they use to make it, and PMBOK Guide is one of them. If you look in the list of books that PMI listed, it doesn't say PMBOK Guide 7th edition. No, it just says PMBOK Guide, and that includes 7th and the 6th edition, because remember, the 7th edition does not remove the old versions of it. So, don't think you're going to pick up the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. It's a really small book. It's only like 200 and some pages. You can pick that up, read that, and you'll be ready for your exam. That is not the way it works. Because if you do that, you will fail that test. Another thing people say, oh, is there any questions on the PMP exam that's PMBOK Guide 7th edition? Technically, they all are, because what's happening is that the PMBOK Guide 7th edition is so generic. And the principles and the domains is that it incorporates and fits into many of the principles we follow in all the principles we follow in traditional and agile projects. So something there to think about. All right, so don't think, the exam, oh, Andrew, I got to read PMBOK Guide 7th edition to pass the exam. No, you don't. In fact, again, 6th edition is more valid than the 7th edition when it comes to that exam. All right, if you find this video helpful, if you learned something today, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel. We make a lot more videos to keep you happy, keep you entertained. I'll see you in the next video.